1945. The island of Okinawa was drowning in blood. Above the ground, tanks roared, fire raged, and the Pacific's deadliest battle unfolded. But deep below, in pitch-black tunnels, something far darker was buried. Decades later, when those tunnels were opened, 746 bodies were discovered. Soldiers, civilians, prisoners of war. No one knows for sure. This is the untold story of Okinawa's hidden graves. Okinawa was the last step before Japan's heartland. Whoever controlled this island controlled the path to Tokyo. The Americans called it Operation Iceberg. The Japanese called it their last stand. In April 1945, the largest naval force in history surrounded the island. Over 1,500 American ships thundered across the sea. From them came 180,000 troops, young men who had been told this battle could decide the entire war. Waiting for them were 120,000 Japanese soldiers, dug deep into the soil, ready to die before surrendering. Trapped between these armies were thousands of civilians. The battle that followed was hell. The skies swarmed with kamikaze planes, pilots turning their own bodies into bombs. The beaches erupted with artillery and flamethrowers. The fields turned into graveyards in hours. And beneath all this was another world. The Japanese army had carved vast underground tunnels across Okinawa. Some were military headquarters, others were shelters. But as the fighting grew worse, these tunnels became prisons of despair. Inside, conditions were unbearable. Air choked with smoke, the stench of sweat, blood, and death. No sunlight, no food. Water ran out quickly, leaving people to drink from muddy puddles or lick condensation off the walls. Civilians, mothers clutching their children, elderly men, entire families, squeezed into these caverns alongside soldiers. Outside, bombs shook the earth. Inside, silence and fear swallowed everything. When the Americans advanced, many of these tunnels were sealed with explosives, suffocated in blackness. No last words, no graves, just silence. For decades, Okinawa rebuilt. Cities rose again. Fields grew green. Tourists came, but the earth never forgot. Construction workers began stumbling on bones, at first just fragments, then entire skeletons, and in one of the most chilling discoveries, 746 bodies were found inside a single tunnel. Men, women, children. Some clutched relics, rusted rifles, bowls, small toys, broken sandals. Some showed signs of clawing at rock walls, desperate for air. They had not died in battle. They had died in whispering silence. Who were they? Historians still argue. Some believe they were Japanese soldiers, sealed in by their own commanders, who preferred death over surrender. Others think they were civilians, abandoned, forgotten, trapped as the war closed in. And some whisper that among them were prisoners of war, perhaps American or Okinawan forced laborers, buried alive. The truth, buried forever with them. Okinawa was called the Typhoon of Steel, a storm of fire and iron that lasted 82 days. More than 200,000 people died. Americans, Japanese soldiers, civilians caught in between. The 746 bodies found are just a fraction of this tragedy. The entire island is a graveyard. Even today, bones are still uncovered in caves hillsides, and ruins. Each one a reminder that history never really disappears. After the war, Okinawa's survivors carried invisible scars. Families never learned what happened to loved ones who vanished underground. Some believed their relatives still wandered the tunnels as restless spirits. Even decades later, when bones were unearthed, mothers came forward clutching faded photos, hoping to recognize a face, a uniform, a relic. But most found nothing, just silence. The island may have healed on the surface, but beneath, in the tunnels, history still bleeds through the stone. For Okinawans, the tunnels are not just ruins. They are sacred, a reminder of suffering no one should endure. The scale of resistance at Okinawa shocked America. Commanders realized, if Japan fought this hard for one island, an invasion of the mainland could cost millions of lives. That realization directly shaped history. It pushed the U.S. toward its most controversial decision, dropping atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Okinawa's blood convinced leaders that only unimaginable destruction could end the war. The war ended, the world moved on, but the silence of those tunnels never spoke again. 746 souls, buried in darkness. No names, no graves, no closure. Just echoes in the earth, whispers in the caves, shadows in the soil of Okinawa. Were they soldiers, civilians, or simply victims of a war that consumed everything in its path? No historian can give a final answer. But for the people of Okinawa, the tunnels remain haunted, not by ghosts, but by unanswered questions. Even today, locals say the air inside feels heavy. Some refuse to enter, others light incense for the dead, because in those walls lie reminders of what happens when humanity loses itself to war. The 746 bodies are not just a statistic. They are a warning, a reminder that beneath every battlefield, beneath every flag, beneath every victory, lie the forgotten. Don't forget to subscribe for more untold stories of war.